Then I'm going to Seattle. Bellingham, because my mom lives out there. So there's a 3 hour time difference. That
Oh,
means that means it would be 4 o'clock. I'd have to get up.
all right. With great success. All right, folks, welcome. We continue our Maimar Hasidic discourse. We are we explained that the power, the to bring two opposites together. One is the transcendence of the soul, and then there is the um, inwardness of the soul. Transcendence transcendence of the soul means it's beyond the makeup of the soul. Makeup of the soul is intelligence and emotions. The transcendence of that means beyond. When you're beyond rationale, beyond one's intelligence. So it's not based on the intelligence. Actually, intelligence is kind of contrary to it, right? But then the soul is also made up of intelligence that feeds the emotions. So what we want is to unite those two things together. That's through what we call Chassidus nefesh. Chassidus nefesh means the giving, uh, the transference of soul, giving your soul over. So uh, usually that term would be used, giving your soul over, ready to die for God. But in the living aspect of it, it means giving your soul, the beginning of your soul is, of the expression of your soul is ratzon, is will, desire. You want. You want something. That even comes before intelligence. You see a little baby that wants something. Is it intelligence? No. Does it develop any real emotion? No. That cry of a baby that it wants something, that's not an emotion. Emotion of love. Now that can develop later, fear. See someone new, it's fear. They see someone they recognize, they want to attach, love. But there's a desire, right? So when you make that desire, you you go and rise above, and that your desire is not to fulfill what your desire is, but the desire, the will of God, what God wants, what God needs from me, then that's rising beyond the soul. At the same time, that's something that can feed the soul, and so that we can understand that and appreciate and feel for that in every fiber of our being. Who will best appreciate that is a Bal Tshuva. So in the verse, now Israel, what does God ask from you? Right? So what is he asking? So the fact now, so the Midrash says that the word now is implying or alluding to, like, now, now. Sort of like, now, just do it. What do you got to just do? Well, return to God. It's referring to tshuva, penitence, to get closer to God. So it is how does that fit in with the verse? because the Baal Tshuva had a will that they followed that was contrary to the will of God. Now they conquered it. They conquered that will. And fulfilling the will of God. Well, that's true self-sacrifice. Right? Think of it. Everybody that's watching right now, we all have our own will. And when we followed our will out of the desire to fulfill my will, we know how we've done things that are not appropriate. Because that's what I wanted. That's what I did. It was inappropriate. How often do we recognize that? Think about it. Because I did what I wanted. You do what you want, right? So the righteous don't do what they want. They do what God wants. But the Baal Tshuva, the penitent, did what he wanted and therefore fell off the wagon. He went astray. And now coming back to do what God wants, right? That's tshuva. So they have to conquer much more of themselves, right? Of the animal nature that we have within ourselves is that, to do what I want. That's what an animal does. It does what's natural to it. That's what makes us different than an animal. An animal can't conquer their nature. The lion can't wake up and say, I want to be a sweetheart. I don't want to be the king anymore. I just want to be kind. Okay. Can't do that. Right? So, but we could. That's what tshuva is. And therefore that fits in very much with the verse. That what does God ask from you? Meaning through the Chassidus Nefesh, through the sacrifice of self, giving self over, right, which is exemplified through tshuva more than any other way, right? When you didn't give yourself over, when you were just, fulfilling your your desire, take that to extreme, your every desire. Just think about it in ourselves, that if we actually just fulfill our every desire, whoa, would we be in a real dark place, right? Your every desire, wow, we would be in a real bad place. Baal Tshuva means, they were there. Now, again, I'm bringing the extreme of, every desire, but it doesn't have to be every desire, whatever, Baal Tshuva means I'm now fulfilling the desire of God. What does God need from me? What does he want from me? Ma shoel mimach. What is he asking of you? Right. And that's the idea then of 100 blessings. That's what God is asking of you. Ma, what? 100. Right. So just to tie this in, we said that this was in the times of King David, that when this was instituted, 100 blessings. Why? Because 100 people were dying every day and they couldn't figure out what was causing the plague. It wasn't. There was nothing natural. They realized that this is definitely from heaven. I mean, everything's from heaven, but it was very clear that it was. So King David, in his prophetic vision, realized that got to fix it. How are you going to fix it? Well, death is the opposite of life, obviously. Life is God. God is the source of life. I mean, it's the source of death also, obvious. But that's not what we associate with God. We associate life with God. He's a source of life, and death means the opposite of that, right? It means a void, it means a lack, it means death, darkness, right? That's how we associate. So it's a lack of awareness of God. In death, there's no awareness of God, right? The body has no awareness of God. Life means to have that awareness. So how do you bring about the awareness? If 100 were dying, so make 100 blessings a day. Because what's a blessing? An awareness of God. That the coffee that I drank over here isn't merely to serve my desire, right? I want a coffee. I like coffee. I want this. I want that, right? So when you have to make a blessing over it, what does that do? It makes your personal desire now focusing it on connecting it to God. That's not merely about you. It's about this thing, this material thing, a coffee, right? Whatever it is that is allowing me to connect to God, be God conscious. That's being alive. God conscious is being alive. And then allowing me, when I'm God conscious, to do the will of God. That's the idea of what God is asking, the 100. Now, we need to understand, continues that in the teachings of our sages, right, in order that from ma, which is we said what, which we explained that to be the way godliness is found within the world, which would be malchus, kingship, royalty, as a king rules with his word as a king. His function is to take care of his world, his people, right? That's a king's function within their needs, which is within the world, right? So that's the ma, the what in the verse that we're playing with, right? And then from that ma, we make it into that what. We add a letter aleph to it and we make it meya, 100. Right? 100, as we've explained previously, is the transcendence of the divine. So we have ma, which is the immanence of God within. We have the meya, the 100, which is 10 times 10, which is a complete number, right? And that's something that's transcendence of God, right? So we have the two aspects of the divine, from within and from beyond. And then we have the aleph. I'm just repeating what we've learned previously, already several classes ago. The aleph that is added to make from ma meya, from what to 100, right? And the aleph, as we explained, is that power of the divine that's able to unite two opposites, right? One that's not even, we say the number one, but it's a one that's beyond count. And therefore, it could take the way God is revealed from within and the way God is encompassing from beyond, and to unite the two together, right? That's what we explain. And therefore, right. So then really what we have over here is ma, the way God is within the world and the way God is transcendent beyond the world, is really like two different realms of the divine, and one is on its one is exclusive of the other, right? Either God is Either the coffee's in the cup, right? Which it means it permeates or from within, right? Or like my hand is beyond the cup. I don't know, my fist is in the cup, or my hand is beyond. They're two different modes of being, right? Like the absent-minded professor who's kind of in his own thoughts, in his own world, beyond, transcendent of their student. And then they focus in and they're really engaged and connected with their student. They're two completely opposite modes of being. And one is not in the other, right? If you're aloof, you're not engaged. If you're engaged, you're not aloof. Right? So the problem the ideas are two different ideas about the divine. And both are true about the divine, right? God is beyond, he's aloof, right? Transcendent. Aloof meaning not in a negative sense, by the way. That maybe it's not a good, actually, when the professor is aloof, he's in his own thoughts, figuring out some deep mathematical equation or some deep idea. That's not a bad thing. That's wonderful. He's got to figure it out. He's got a mathematical problem and he's in his head figuring it out. But that's antithetical to being engaged with the student. And at that point, he has to be that way. So it's not about bad or good over here, right? Or it's a metaphor to appreciate that the divine, God, is beyond. He's not bound by this world. Oh, we get that. At the same time, he's very much engaged in this world and every fine detail of this world. But one is opposite to the other, right? And that's fine. God is both. That's the contradiction, right? That's why my hand can't be in the cup and beyond the cup at the same time, but God is, right? But they're two opposites. Now, I hope I'm explaining this well.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. So, thank you. Now, the challenge over here is as follows. The teachings of our sages seem to suggest that one is found in the other. In other words, let me explain. Because our sages said, don't read it as what, read it as maya, as 100, right? That's what our sages say. Which means like this. There's two ideas. Sometimes we have in the Torah a word that's written one way, but it's pronounced another way. Many times. And there's purpose for that is that we learn teachings from it. Right? So the Torah, it's written one way, but it's pronounced another way. Right? So now the pronunciation should be, our sages are saying 100. And the way it's written, though, is what? So, which means to say, the written, hidden, in the way it's pronounced is hidden in it the way it's written. Right? In other words, the way something is written is the hidden manner, right? Why is it hidden? Because you don't pronounce it that way. You don't verbalize it that way. The revelation of it is the way it's pronounced, which is 100. Right? Don't read it. Don't say it as what? Say it as 100. right? So that's the idea of hidden and revealed, which means in the hidden, you have that which will ultimately be revealed. It's just hidden. Ooh. So that's opposite of what we're saying. Here we're saying transcendent and immanence are one opposite the other, right? So one's not the hidden, one's the revealed. But in the way that sages are teaching this, it seems to suggest that. So we need to understand that, how that fits in. And for that, we'll have to come back. All right, folks. Thank you. We'll see you soon.